Welcome. My name is Samson Ellsbrand. I'm an attorney with Wilkie Fleury in Sacramento, California, and this is our next video in our series of videos on labor and employment law news and updates. In this video, we're talking about waiting time penalties and also final wages. But let's begin with the final wages first, because that is how we know whether or not an employee is entitled to waiting time penalties. So final wages are essentially the final paycheck that you give to an employee when they quit or when they're terminated. There's different timing requirements depending on whether it's a quit or a termination. When employers in California terminate employees, they have to pay the final wages immediately at the time that they are terminating the employee. If the employee is quitting, it really depends on how much notice the employer has before that quit. When employees give at least 72 hours advance notice, the final wages are due to the employee at the time of quitting. But when employees don't give advance notice and they just quit on the spot, employers have up to 72 hours to go ahead and pay those final wages to the employee. Now the consequence, those waiting time penalties that we referred to at the beginning of this video, that's a penalty that accrues against the employer when those final wages are not paid on time. And so essentially how they work is that the employee's wages continue as a penalty against the employer for up to 30 days. They continue until they're finally paid by the employer. So if the employer pays them 5 days late, then the employee would get 5 days worth of waiting time penalties. And again, those penalties are capped at 30 days, so an employer will not be charged a penalty greater than 30 days worth of that employee's salary. Now, recently, one of our Supreme Court cases determined and looked at whether an employee who retires is also quitting for purposes of final wages and for waiting time penalties. And it determined that employees that retire are treated the same as employees who quit. Then, in essence, when an employee retires, they are quitting to retire. They're leaving their employment, they are separating their employment, and so therefore they're entitled to final wages in accordance with the rules for any other employee who quits their employment. So keep this in mind and make sure that your payroll practices are in accordance with that, in particular for these retiring employees, so that you don't accrue waiting time penalties for each day that those final wages go unpaid and are late. So thank you for joining us for this video. Hope you found it very instructive, and we hope that you will tune in for future labor and employment law videos. Thank you.